here we go. So let's take a look at what we're doing today. So today we are going, I'm just going to go over a little bit of yesterday's review, just talking about the rules with inequalities and when we have to flip the decimal, when we don't have to flip the decimal. And then we're going to go over a couple more word problems and practice writing them because I feel like that's the hardest thing to do. And then after that, you are going to go to LT1. You're going to go do your quiz. And then, and that'll be it for today. And don't forget to take attendance. Okay. So before we do that, a couple things that I want to talk to you about. The first one being, I've updated the grade book. Okay. I've already updated the grade book. Just this morning, I put in your average of all 3 quizzes. And I also put in, whatchamacallit, I put in a couple more daily grades, okay? So as always, if you feel like there needs to be a change to the daily grades because you ended up doing it late or turn it in late, then let me know. If you feel like there's something wrong with your quizzes, then let me know as well. So here's the thing. Let's say that your quiz average for all 3 was like an 80 and you're not happy with the 80. Well, you can't go back and then do a second try on those quizzes because that time period is already kind of up, okay? So you had 2 tries for each quiz, but if you're still not happy with it, you can't go backwards and go do another try because that quiz grade has already been put in the grade book. So your time to do a second try in the future would just be when basically before I put it in the grade book, before the 3 have to be due, okay? There are going to be a couple of changes to algebra that I want to show you. And if you guys have questions, you have to unmute and you have to just shout it out because I can't hear you, or sorry, I can't see you. Your faces are blocked right now because I'm recording this for my 6th or for my 4th period as well, okay? So if you have questions, please let me know because these 3 things are going to start as of today, okay? So the first thing is whenever we have instruction, so like you just watching the video and getting that done, so no quizzes, but just the instruction on Edgenuity, you basically get 1 extra day and then it's a 0. So in algebra, because it is a high school class, because it is a pre-AP high school class, the teachers and the principal want us to hold to the standard that normally you would be held to if this were normal school. So if this were normal school, starting from day 1 of algebra, we would say there are no late grades. If you turn in something late or if you forget something at home, it's a 0 and you can't make it up for a 70, it's just a 0. So obviously we've been in virtual school for 3 weeks now. So we didn't want to say, oh, it's a 0, too bad. And the reason why is because we didn't know, you guys, we wanted you guys to get used to virtual school, get used to the technology, how school works, blah, blah, blah. So now that the first 3 weeks of school are over, we're actually going to start doing what we normally do in algebra class. So the first rule being, when you have homework, it is due that evening, okay? Essentially by midnight. Now we know that technology sometimes is an issue. Sometimes, you know, some of you last weekend had a power outage because of the storms. Some of you, your internet is glitchy for the day. So we're actually giving you 2 days, okay, total to get your homework done. So instead of 1 day to get your homework done, you're getting 2 days. So let's say you have a video to watch today. You don't, but let's say you do. If you did, then instead of it being due tonight, it's actually due tomorrow night. Now, that doesn't mean get it done in 2 days and procrastinate because obviously you're going to always be behind. But we're saying if you have technology issues, you don't need to freak out because you're going to get a 0. I'm still giving you that 1 extra day. But then after that, after tomorrow night, if something were assigned today, then it would be a 0. And the biggest thing is there's no late grades. It's a 0 or it's 100, basically for your Edgenuity videos. Okay, are there? Yes.
What if we do our homework in the morning usually?
Well, if you do your homework in the morning, usually you have that 1 extra day, right? So let's say today is Monday. I'm assigning a video on Edgenuity to watch on Monday. I'm not going to check the Edgenuity to see if you completed it until Tuesday night. So if you wait to do your homework until Tuesday morning, the next morning, then that's fine. I don't care because you get that extra day. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I would say please try not to procrastinate because your workload is going to get harder in math and in all your other classes because the first 3 weeks are over. So maybe try to get it done the day of, but if you don't, you still have that one extra day of kind of like your cushion. Okay, any other questions with homework? Okay, now let's move to the quizzes. Okay, with the quizzes, since I mean, technically it's a quiz grade, right? Technically it's a major grade. But the thing is, it's weird because you're not in class, you're online still, you still might have technology issues. So technically your quizzes are also due at the end of the day. Because I mean, if you were in class and you were taking a quiz, it would be due at the end of the period, right? So we're not making it due at the end of the period. We're still going to say try to get it done at the end of the day. But in case you have technology issues, in case, I don't know, you have a power outage or whatever that is, then you get an extra day. So just like the homework, if today is, what is today? Today is Wednesday. So you have a quiz in class today in Edgenuity. So I'm not going to see that it's done tonight. I'm going to check by Thursday night to make sure that it's done. Does that make sense? So you get, just like the homework, you get 2 days to do it, but by the next day, that evening, it needs to be done. And then if you don't get it done, it's a 0 and there are no retakes. Okay. So as in like, let's say you got the 0 because you didn't get it done on time, then that's going to be averaged into your major grade as a 0. You're not going to be able to take it late. That's what I'm saying. You still get 2 chances. Okay. But now you only get 2 chances. So the last thing is, if you fail on your second try, I will take the higher score out of the 2 failed tries, but that's going to be your grade. Just like in normal class, if you were to take a test or a quiz, you take a test or a quiz and you get that grade. Now, if you want to retake it for a 90 in normal school, you get a retake, right? So that's why you still get 2 tries on the quizzes, but after the retake, then you're done. If you still end up failing, then you just end up getting that higher score. Okay. I feel like that was a lot and that's a little different. So are there any questions before we move on and any of this stuff? How your grade is going to look, blah, blah, blah.
I have a question on the quizzes, kind of.
Yes.
Okay, so when we go back to class, is this still going to be like the same formula, like 3 quizzes equals 1 major grade?
Kind of. So it's going to be all the quizzes equals 1 major grade. Some chapters, there's going to be 3 quizzes. Some chapters, there's 4 quizzes. Some chapters, there's 2 quizzes. Does that make sense? So it'll be a different number, but all of the quizzes in that chapter will be combined into a major grade. I just don't know exactly how many for each chapter because it's different.
Okay, so just no one big test, just gonna be all combined stuff.
So as of right now, and this could change because all of this is new for us this year. As of right now, in math class, we're not going to have like a normal sit down, you have the class period to take a test. And the reason why is because it's not really fair for the people who are online because I don't know what they're doing online. I'm not saying they're doing anything fishy online, but I'm saying all of you don't really have the same, I don't know. It's just not fair. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So yeah, so we're doing the quizzes on Edgenuity to average into a major grade. So however many quizzes are in that chapter, it's going to average into that major grade. So if you check on Skyward, some of you are failing. And the reason why you're failing is because you didn't take that last quiz or you didn't take the last 2 quizzes. Some of you are super behind. Some of you are just a little bit behind. So for Unit 1, there were 3 quizzes, right? Variables on both sides, distributive property, and then literal equations. If you didn't take any of those quizzes, I averaged it in as a 0. Okay, now here's the thing. Because that was done on the first 3 weeks of school, I will let you take that quiz and then just email me and then I'll change your grade. But from all the assignments assigned today moving forward, so not like last week and the week before, but from the assignments from today moving forward, if you don't do something on time, then it is going to be a 0, just like it would be in normal school if you were in normal algebra as a whole class. Are there any other questions? Okay, if you feel like something comes up later and you want to ask me later, feel free to just hang back after the chat and we can do that. There are some of us that are super, super behind. So if you are super behind, I would suggest that you hang back after the chat too, so we can somehow form a plan for you, because you have a lot of makeup stuff to do to get yourself ready for this. Because right now we're going to now start treating you like you are a normal algebra pre-AP kid in normal school. Okay, even though it's slightly different, we're making some allowances, but still, I want to help you so that you don't feel too overwhelmed in algebra, because it's only going to get harder, right? Everything almost is still a review. So I just don't want you to get overwhelmed when it's too early. Okay. All right, let's move on then. So today you're doing the quiz. Let's talk about just a couple review things to remind us how to do these problems. Okay. So just shout it out because I can't see your words. Let's try the first one. Can someone shout out, what number do I have to move to the other side?
-2.
Thank you. Add, subtract, multiply, divide.
Multiply.
Because it's divide, right? Opposite of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply -2 on both sides. Now, when I do this, I'm just going to drop everything down as I see it. So the n, or you can just write x. Honestly, it doesn't matter what letter. Just the variable is first. And then I have my symbol. 3 times -2 is -6. Should I keep the symbol the same or should I flip it, guys?
Flip it.
Flip it. Does anyone remember why do I flip it in this problem?
It's a negative.
Thank you. What's a negative?
The numbers you're multiplying, dividing.
Yeah. So the rule is when you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, so the key word is by a negative, then you can flip it. So like just because you have a negative in your problem doesn't mean you always flip. It's just the number that you're moving. If that one is negative, then you flip. Okay, now let's graph this. So this is my answer. X is greater than -6. Should I have an open circle or a closed circle?
Open circle.
Thank you, because it's x is greater than, not greater than or equal to. I'm not including -6. I'm just saying it starts from -6, but I'm not including it. Should I draw my arrow to the left side or to the right side?
To the right.
Because it says x is greater than. The alligator is eating the x. So greater than is always to the right, less than is always to the left. All right, let's try another one. So for this one, I have a fraction, and I know that sometimes fractions freak you out. It really shouldn't, okay? Let me show you the easiest way to do a fraction. I think some of you want to multiply by 5 and then divide by 3. You're taking an extra step. You know this is -3/5 times a. So if it's -3/5 times a, all you have to do is divide, do the opposite by -3/5. Because the thing is, you can use your calculator now. So you don't need to worry about doing everything in your head. So you have -15 divided by -3/5. So that's a fraction. Alpha y equals. So -3 on top, 5 on the bottom. I get 25. So I get positive 25. What do you think, guys? Should I flip it or not flip it?
Flip it.
Flip it, because I am dividing by a negative. Who cares that this 15 is negative? I don't even care about that. All I care about is that I'm dividing by a negative. That's why I flip it. And then I have a, I have x. I can write whatever letter. It honestly doesn't matter. Okay? All right, so if I were to graph this, then I have 25, 26, 24. Okay, first of all, open or close circle?
Open.
Open, because there's no line under it. I'm not including it. So that's why it's saying starting from 25, but not including 25. Now here's the trick question. Should I go to the left or should I go to the right?
To the right.
To the right. Okay. Some of you want to say to the left because it looks like the arrow is pointing to the left, and that's not the case because look at where your letter is. This is saying A is greater than. I know this is greater than because like the alligator wants to eat the A. It always wants to eat the bigger one. So A is the bigger one. That means if A is greater than is always to the right. So I'm writing it to the right. Okay. Last one. And then we'll do 2-word problems or 3-word problems, I think. Okay. So what number do I move?
3.
3. I want to get G by itself. So I know some of you are like, oh, denominator, move the denominator. You only do that if you're trying to get G by itself and it's on the same side as G. We don't really care that this is a fraction because all we really want to do is move the 3 to get G by itself. Okay, add, subtract, multiply, divide.
Divide.
Divide, because it's 3 times G. Opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I end up getting G. 2/5 divided by 3, I have no idea. So type it in your fraction. 2/5, write it first because it's on top. Divided by 3 gives me 2/15. Okay, so 2/15. Okay, what do we think? Flip or not flip?
No.
No,
Don't
flip.
flip.
I am
Don't
not
flip it.
flipping. I am not flipping because I am not dividing by a negative. And then I would graph it. Okay, I hope we know how to do that. All right. Word problem. You don't have to write this down, and I'm going to read it because I know it's kind of small. Sorry. I should have like clumped it together. Okay. So this says you are earning tickets at a carnival. You have determined that you are earning 16 tickets each minute. So let's write, we don't have to solve. So let's just write the inequality to determine how many minutes it will take for you to earn at least 136. So you're earning 16 a minute. And then you want to earn at least 136 total. Does anyone think they can do this?
I'll do it.
Okay, go.
16x is greater than or equal to 136.
Perfect. Okay. Let me kind of show you, because some of you might not just get it that quickly. Let me show you how you can think about this, okay? It says you want to earn at least 136. So here's you, here's your area. You want to earn at least 136. That's why 136 is on the other side. So if you don't know like which way your symbol goes, think of it in terms of money. You have at least $136. If you had at least $136, that means that you could have more than 136. So if you have more, because at least means you can have more, so you can have greater than or equal to. That's kind of how I think of it in my head, how I work out which way the symbol is. Okay, you are earning 16 tickets. Well, so 16 goes in the you category because you are earning 16 tickets each minute. How many minutes? I don't know. That's why you have to multiply it by X to set up the problem. Okay, let's try another one. You have $850 to buy new carpet for the game room. The dimensions of the game room are 20 feet by 12 feet. Write and solve an inequality that represents the cost per square foot that you can pay for new carpet. This one is tricky. Does anyone know anything about this problem? Maybe not the whole equation or the whole inequality, but like maybe what number goes on what side? We can start with that.
20 times 12.
Okay, so yeah, because so your dimensions of the room are 20 by 12. So the cost per square foot. So basically you're not writing 20 and 12. You have to multiply how many feet that is. So 20 times 12 is 240. So how much per square foot? So now what do you think?
Is less than or equal to 850?
Okay, this is the right symbol. And I feel like some of you don't know why. You have $850. So here's you. You have $850. Do you have more than $850? No, but you could spend less than $850. That's why it's less than or equal to. That's why that person said it's less than or equal to $850. Okay, so far we're almost done. You need to put an X somewhere, of an add or divide or multiply or whatever. So what do you think?
$850x.
So 850 is your total. So you don't want to multiply by something else. So here's your dimensions, 20 by 12. That's how I got the 240. How much does it cost per square foot? Well, it's 240. So how much per square foot? You would just say, oh, actually, no, sorry, divide by X. You divide by X this time. And the reason why you're dividing by X is because you want to know how much does this cost to get you 850. Okay, this one was actually pretty tricky. If you got this part, if you were able to get this, like to say u less than or equal to 850, then I'll take that. Okay, that one was a little bit trickier than I had intended. Sorry. But if you can get this, like the side of u, the correct symbol, and then 850, I think that would be good enough for this problem. Okay, let's try the last one. You run for 3 hours at a speed no faster than 8.2 miles per hour. Write and solve an inequality that represents the possible numbers of miles you run.
Would it be like u and less than or equal to 8.2 miles per hour?
So u less than or equal to 8.2 miles per hour. Yeah, because you run no faster than 8.2 miles per hour. So you are not any bigger than 8.2. Yes. Okay. Maybe you have to remember this. Distance equals rate times time. So if you know that that's your rate is 8.2, then shouldn't this say distance? So isn't rate then the same thing as saying distance over time? You learned that in science last year. So what's the distance? The number of miles you have run. Do you know your distance? Oh, you can't see that, sorry. Distance equals rate times time. So if I were to solve this literal equation for the rate, which is 8.2, is the same thing as saying taking the distance and dividing it by the time. So what is my distance? Does it say how many miles I have run total?
That's x.
That's
Distance
X.
is
I
x.
don't know. What's the possible number of miles? I don't know. That's X. So it's X over time. What is your time?
3 hours.
Yeah, so that would be your equation. But again, for this one, if you can get yourself to u less than or equal to 8.2, that would be pretty good. Because the thing is, on your quiz, you do have multiple choice, so you can kind of cross out, right? Process of elimination. What could be the possible answer choice? Blah, 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 blah.